So the partners will do it. The way.
No, it's like logging into let's not worry about it right now.
I can't get one.
It's in solidarity with the law. So, yeah. I wish, but no. Everybody knows that,
Call the meeting to order. Sorry we're a few minutes late, but we're trying to get everything organized here. Karen, you want to lead the pledge?
Ready, begin.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Okay, we move on to the approval of the consent agenda. Does anybody want to approve?
I move we accept the consent agenda. That's listed.
I'll second that.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
I'm abstaining because I wasn't here.
Huh?
I'm only abstaining because I wasn't here for that meeting.
Oh, okay.
For the quarterly minutes as part of that.
All right, good, okay. So we have 4-0 and 1 abstain. Okay, is there any request for agenda modifications?
I have one that we have no longer needed. The easement request, which is under discussion and action items, G. Easement request from Benton County for Chapel Drive.
I thought we'd already taken care of that.
But this was for another piece of work to happen this summer. They have removed their easement request and they're going to work within the confines of what they've got available to them.
Oh, okay,
So that can come off.
okay. G2.
Yep.
Okay. All right. That is scratched. Okay, student government report, which I don't think we're going to have one tonight. Okay,
Rick didn't want to come tonight?
Not tonight.
all right.
And Jackson said that he couldn't be here this evening, so.
The next thing on the agenda is public comment. And I have a lot of green cards, but most of them seem to pertain to the budget, which will probably be during the budget hearing. So I'm going to ask these people if they want theirs heard in open session now or in the budget hearing. Charlene.
Yeah, I'll speak now.
Now, okay. Nick Triani.
Now, please.
Huh?
Now.
Now. Kristen Davis.
Now is fine.
Saf Evans.
Now is good.
Now? Okay. Gregory Hudson.
Yeah, I'll do it now.
Okay. Nancy Thompson.
I'll do it now.
Okay. All right. And I'm just going to read this real quick on the public comment statement. Welcome to the meeting. What? No, well, those all have budget in them, so I'm assuming that they want theirs during the budget process, the budget hearing.
No.
Okay. All right.
Vote for now.
Does everybody want theirs now?
Yes.
Sure. Okay, we'll just do them all now then. Welcome to the meeting of your school board. The Fulton School Board of Directors values the opinions and input of students, staff, parents, and community members. Although board meetings are held in public, they are not meetings of the public. The board may allow public comment and questions during the meeting, but is not legally required to do so. During the meeting tonight, we will be taking public comment to address issues around safety protocols. Keep your comments to 3 minutes or less. If you intend to speak to the board this evening, you will need to fill out one of the green cards. Yeah, this is an old one, because this, Lillian. Public comment may also via Zoom. Please be respectful in your comments as you direct them to the board. When you're called up to speak, move to the small table in front of the board and state your full name and address prior to sharing. If you have written comments to share with the board, you may hand one copy to the board's executive assistant, who will distribute to all board members for consideration after the meeting. And one thing I will reiterate is, if there is no, one of them was in here, let me see if I can.
Rick, I believe we may have changed it to just say the city in which you reside and not your actual address, since these are recorded.
Okay,
I think that might be one of the changes on the form.
well, at home address, but this one deals with a kind of a topic that can get sideways real quick. So there'll be no mention of names specifically in any of the comments, as it pertains to, staff and drawing a blank on what I want to say, but I think everybody understands, so we'll go forward with that.
And it's a 3 minute min max.
Yeah, can we, a maximum of 3 minutes. But yeah, if you're gonna say something that somebody else has already said, maybe you can just come up and say, well, I concur with whoever said it, and then we can move on, because there's a whole stack of them, and we want to give everybody their turn, but we also want to get out of here before midnight. So I'll start with Saf Evans.
Hello, my name is Saf Evans. I'm a special ed teacher of the Life Skills program at Fulham High School. I live in Fulham. I'm here tonight to speak about a delicate subject, safety. I'm not here to complain about any one individual or policy. I'm here to just give voice to how people are feeling, and to ask the board to be engaged and look for solutions. I'm here because I'm willing to give voice to a number of my colleagues who feel that they cannot be here out of fear, frustration, or exhaustion. I have female colleagues who do not feel safe in this district. These colleagues, who I care very much about, have felt the sting of hostility and harassment directed at them because of their gender. Their feelings are very real, and their concerns are very real, and they want us to do better. Institutions around the country have been grappling with this issue. We have known this recently as the Me Too movement. I believe that Fulham School District is having a Me Too moment right now. We have staff who are looking back on how they have been treated in the past, and they are saying, this is not okay. Things need to change. When they say things, they are taking a risk. What will the outcome of taking these risks be? Will I get the support I deserve? Will leaders in the district be willing to take steps and make the changes that will allow female staff to feel safe and respected? Or will we backslide? Will we make excuses and leave our staff feeling vulnerable and insecure? I'm here today because I do not want us to backslide. We have come so far as a district, and I'm asking that you recognize that we have operated an awesome district and produced amazing outcomes for our students. We, like almost any other institution in this country, have harbored pockets of our program that have enabled sexual harassment and hostility. And this needs to stop. We can still be an awesome district that continues to produce great outcomes for our kids while respecting our female colleagues and building a culture free from these issues. These are not mutually exclusive outcomes. Please know that this issue is real. We have staff who do not feel safe. As board members, please ask questions. Please be advocates for our change we need and be willing to make the hard decisions when you are confronted by them. Please don't backslide. Let's keep moving forward in the right direction.
Thank you. Craig Hudson.
My name is Gregory Hudson. Although I live in Corvallis, I'm a teacher at the North Middle School. I'm on the same lines of South Evans. I'm not here to complain, but I'll make a voice to those who, well, they're just not sure what the repercussions would be. Either there's that fear, frustration, and exhaustion. Besides the job itself, it's also the way they've been treated by some people in the district. So I'm giving a voice to those people, which really are the female workers in our district. When they look back on how they've been treated and they question what happened and they look and go, it's not right. They, again, are afraid to say it. Will they be supported? What steps might be taken against them if they say it? So I'm asking that you recognize that we have a school district that has a history of being highly regarded. We put out great students. We've had strong staff, and we've lost staff, and we would just like to acknowledge that we realize that our district, like other institutions, we have this kind of behavior go on. But we'd like to get past that, stay on track and moving forward. And like I said, ask you guys to ask questions and look forward to keeping us going in the right direction.
Okay, thank you. Nancy Thompson.
My name is Nancy Thompson. I live in Corvallis, but I work for the Paloma School District. And everybody here with me also are teachers in the Paloma School District. And we want to voice similar concerns to the past two speakers, is that we don't want to complain about our jobs, but we do want to ensure that our coworkers are feeling safe and that when they do speak up, that they're heard, that they're protected, that they're believed. I want to give a voice to the people. We've heard from many people in the past few years, and I want to give a fresh voice to that it does need to be heard. And it's not just one place. It needs to be heard district-wide. We're speaking tonight because we want to continue being the amazing district we are. I was just at a 4-H meeting tonight, and I had a family who goes to Corvallis schools that I told her I worked for Paloma, and she had nothing but wonderful things to say about Paloma, and was even considering bringing her child to Paloma because of all the tech programs we have and the amazing programs we have here. But we don't have those programs without the teachers that we have. So I want, as a board, I would like you guys to recognize that we have a great district, that we have it because of the teachers that care for our kids, and that we want to have that respect of all the employees, and more recently for our female employees. So please know that this is a real issue. This is ongoing. You may think that it's coming from just a few people, but it's not. So please understand that we want our staff to feel safe. I want my coworkers to feel safe coming to school. I want them to feel like they're valued in their job. So please, as a board, please be advocates for this change. Please speak up for them. Please don't shut them down. They need to be heard. They need to be understood. This is a real issue, and it's not just here, it's everywhere. So women getting shut down is not helpful to anybody. It's not helpful to our kids. And it's not what we want to emulate to our kids. They know these issues are here. Our students know these issues are here. And when they see nothing done about it, what are we teaching them? So please be advocates for the change that we need, be willing to make those decisions, be willing to do the hard work, be willing to support us, be willing to keep moving forward in the direction that we need to go, and be willing to continue making this district the great district that it is. Thank you.
Kirsten Davis.
Hi, my name is Kirsten Davis. I live in Columbus, and I am one of the speech pathologists in this district. And this evening, I also wish to express my support for a fairly sizable group of female colleagues who have experienced a hostile work environment. And while some of these colleagues do not feel safe enough to return here to work, others who have returned are still dealing with the trauma and the exhaustion caused by their experiences. And when they don't feel safe, then I recognize that they are not feeling safe. I also do not feel safe. I'm asking you to do your part as members of the board to be aware of these kinds of issues within the district, to ask questions, to help the district to hold itself accountable and be the best district it can be, both for our students and for everyone who works for or interfaces with the district. Everyone's safety is undermined when even one person's safety and dignity is not honored within any community. This is a fantastic district. I love it. There's a wonderful motto. There's a wonderful song actually at CPS, the Cubs song, Bear Cubs song. Be responsible, be respectful, and be safe all day long. And there's a wonderful motto within the school that is probably the most important thing that could ever be taught to any child, and that is always be kind. And I really do hope that we will continue as a district to do our utmost to live up to that motto so it doesn't become a bitter, ironic period at the end of the sentence. So thank you very much for listening.
Thank you. Nick Trioni.
Good evening, my name is Nick Trainey. I teach at Philomath High School. I teach the Industrial Engineering Systems. I live in Corvallis. I've been in education for 11 years, and 6 of those years have been here at Philomath. And I can honestly say that Philomath is the best district out of the 3 that I've worked for. It is a great place to work, and I truly enjoy coming to work. I truly enjoy this community. I truly enjoy working with my coworkers, and most of all, I truly enjoy teaching our students. We all know that it has been a difficult year with decisions made at the state capitol regarding education with inflation. And as an individual with a young family, it is hard to keep our heads above water. I said that I love what I do, and I want to stay here at Philomath. So I encourage the board to make decisions about our contract that will ensure teachers and staff as a priority. I would also like to take a moment to talk about safety, and I'll keep this brief. I highly encourage the board to make well-informed decisions that prioritize the safety of all teachers, all staff members, and all students. Thank you all for your dedication and time that you put into this and serving our community. Thank you for your time this evening.
Charlene.
Hi, my name is Charlene Opheim. I am a kindergarten teacher at Clemens Primary School. I'm also the PEA Vice President, bargaining team member, a Philomath community and business owner. I have had 2 children graduate from Philomath High School over the past decade. I am here to talk to you about the class of teachers we currently have in this district and how they shape the lives of our students in this community. I have have not always been an educator. I have worked for a large corporation, a medium family-owned corporation, and small business corporations. And what I learned from those experiences is that we are always chasing the capitalistic carrot. We are programmed to work harder, faster, and more efficiently to obtain more and more things. We were programmed not to live in the present. We were always looking for the next win, the next event, the next money maker. Eventually, I realized this mentality was not for me. I wanted to live in the here and now. As I was fortunate to ponder my next move, I realized that for me, teaching was a way to make a difference in the lives of our children, to live in the present, and to allow my heart and soul to thrive while challenging my mind. I remember when my kids were in school, they had teachers that made such a serious impact on them that it shifted the way they thought. They became more accepting, more giving, and better citizens. In one case, my daughter Hannah went on a real-life tour to the DR with a couple of our teachers. When she got back, I picked her up at the airport, and she sobbed and sobbed and sobbed. I thought, wow, she must have missed me. No, that was not it. She learned about her privilege, her position, and her status in the world, and she did not like it. She continued to talk about the children getting their meal from a dump. The immense happiness that came to these children when they got a real soccer ball, as if they had won the lottery. She shifted her priorities and wanted to devote her life to doctoring beyond borders. She eventually worked for AmeriCorps and is now a middle school teacher in the inner city of Boston. That was all because of a teacher. I had another daughter who read a book about girls her age in Africa and how horribly they were abused, beyond anything a girl from America could imagine. Guess what? She had a dream to go to Africa and work in an orphanage. And she did just that, all because of a teacher. I could go on and on about how teachers have impacted my children's lives personally. But now I am part of this amazing club, a bond with like-minded people whose most important focus is to make a difference in children's lives. Your child, my child, and our children's lives. They are selfless to a fault. They are so incredibly smart, immensely kind and giving, and they continue to show up with a positive attitude, an I-can-do spirit, and a smile on their face because they know that is what their students need. Needs. Let's talk about needs. Our teachers meet every single student where they are at, right here, right now. They meet the needs of our students, whether in an academic sense, an emotional or nurturing sense. It shows in our test scores, and it shows in the little wins each day we experience with our students. It shows with a hug or a high five from a student. They need us. It is of a necessity. But somehow in the system, we have failed to see this need and to compensate accordingly. Our teachers need our board and admin to understand they are standing in the way to get our own needs and our students' needs met. We have teachers that need to go to a soup kitchen or a spaghetti feed for food. We have teachers that cannot go on vacation with their children. We have amazing teachers that understand it might be cheaper to stay at home with their children than to work as an educator. We have teachers who cannot afford to buy a house in our community. We have teachers that are struggling to feed their family, provide appropriate health care. That is unacceptable. It is of necessity that we begin to see that we have needs too. Teaching can be a thankless, emotionally draining, and exhausting career, but the students need us. We want you to do what is right, responsible, and honorable, and make a budget that finally compensates the amazing work these teachers do. Thank you for all your work and allowing me to speak tonight.
Alice Oates.
My name is Alice Oaks. I live in Corvallis, but I am a kindergarten teacher at Cummings. This is just finished my 5th year teaching, and I absolutely love it here. I'm here tonight to speak about the proposed budget for 2023-2024. I appreciate the difficult position the district is in with planning for the budget while waiting on final numbers and information from the state. I know you're required to pass a budget before the end of this month, despite this lack of information. While recognizing this difficulty, I am asking you tonight, please do not pass this proposed budget unless it has the flexibility to provide the salary increases that our educators need and deserve to address the growing impact of inflation. I'm supportive of the PEA bargaining team's proposal of an 8% COLA because it begins to address the impact of inflation that we have experienced the last few years. I understand everyone in this room has been affected by this. I feel that my autonomy is affected. When I look at renting and housing options in our area and surrounding areas, I'm appalled that I can afford less than I did as a first-year teacher. I even completed a master's degree and moved over 3 columns on the pay scale. It's extremely disheartening to see that my autonomy is threatened by my pay, and the disparity grows each year. The PEA bargaining team has said that we need a total budget of around $6.9 million in licensed salaries next year to pay for our proposal. I understand that not all of this would be paid from the budget, and that some would need to come from other places, such as the student investment. I'm asking the board tonight, do you feel confident that there's enough money in your proposed budget to bridge the gap and meet the proposal for the licensed salaries? Will this budget pay for the COLA? If you're not sure, or the answer is no, I ask you to not adopt this budget. An amendment be made first that clearly state where there's room in the budget for meeting with proposed COLA. If you do feel confident, then I ask you to move forward and bring that information to the next PEA bargaining session. I value having a resolution to this issue so that I can be more informed and confident of my own personal finances heading into next year. Thank you for your time. Thank you for being on the board and serving this community.
Valerie Crane.
Yeah. Hi. Good evening. Welcome to my speech. I am Mallory Crane. I am and have been the school counselor at Cummings Primary School for 5 years. I first would like to say thank you for this community and this district. I appreciate the opportunity to speak to you tonight. I would like to first echo everything that my colleagues have said tonight. These are really, really important issues that impact not just educators, but people in your community, people in front of you. I'm here to speak with you about a few things, including the potential adoption of the proposed budget for 2023-2024, as well as a vote on the reduction of force. I understand that there have been challenges creating a budget with the issue of legislative timing. I would like to urge you to get creative and ask questions before voting on the proposed budget and reduction of force tonight. Please consider asking, how did we get here?
How are these proposals, if approved, how will they impact not only educators, but more importantly, our students? Consider that a reduction in force is not just a loss in positions. It is a reduction in people who connect with and support our students. It's a reduction in quality educators. It's a reduction in support for staff. It's a reduction in our school communities. And it's a reduction in morale. Voting in favor of reduction in force is a vote in favor of real loss for our staff and our students. We as educators do not get to decide how the district prioritizes funds or spends money. We as educators do not get to decide how hiring happens. The district knows and can anticipate a request for COLA increase each bargaining session, and yet we are met time and time again with the threat of cuts and unfair pay. How did this happen? How is this possible when a budget approved by the budget committee is higher than initially expected? How are educators being prioritized while our jobs, support staff, and ability to provide for our families and ourselves being threatened? Have the funds been mismanaged? Is the district prioritizing other things? We as educators may not have the power to make these decisions about how funds are prioritized or spent, but you as the board do have that power. It is well known that educators' teaching conditions are students' learning conditions. When you have well-supported staff who know that they are prioritized, you are giving students the greatest gift a district can give. High-quality educators who are fully able to show up for our students. We know you care about the well-being of our students. Please consider adopting a budget that reflects that. Please consider asking questions, looking for ways to make a more flexible proposal that prioritizes educators and ultimately students. I plead to you, please find a way to prioritize the people in this district who interact with and show up for our students and families every single day. If you are completely confident in this proposed budget and what it is truly offering to students in this district, please do not adopt it. Thank you for your time and consideration. Thank you for being here, and thank you for hearing me.
Good evening, Donna Carter, Philomath High School, and I live in Philomath, and I have faithfully served this school district for 35 years. And I would like to retire soon, but I'm unable to do so because of finances and my need for health insurance. My experience has repeatedly been that when the district needs help, the teachers step up. But the opposite has not been true. I would like to share some experiences of this from my career. My first 10 years, I didn't even have my own classroom. I roamed the halls with my supplies on a cart and taught in other people's classrooms during their prep period. As a young teacher, when times were really rough, I went approximately 10 years in a row without a raise. Step and column were frozen, and sometimes step, column, and COLA were frozen because the district was hurting and came to the teachers saying that they needed help and offering a trade-off proposal for early retirement. It was stated that times were really hard and that they knew we would suffer short-term with this proposal, but that it would be worth it in the long run because we could retire at age 55 and have our insurance paid for the 10 years until we could qualify for Medicare. This allowed the district to retire expensive, experienced teachers and hire less expensive new teachers. Well, I did suffer for those 10 years, but I didn't receive any of the benefits because years later, the then current school board canceled the program and stated things like, we didn't make you that promise, some other school board did. And I don't want to pay for someone who's not working for us anymore, forgetting that the teachers retired early in order to help the district out, and that it was the district and board's idea in the first place. Teacher FTE is often also adjusted to suit district's needs, such as RIFs. For my case, after my children were born, I was able to work part-time for a couple years, achieving my desired work-life balance. But all too soon, I was given an ultimatum: return to full-time or resign. We don't want to deal with part-time employees. Just this morning, I learned that my health occupation CTE program is being canceled for next year due to budgetary cuts. By this afternoon, I learned I had a reprieve, and now maybe it's going to stay for next year. But it was a bad day. And I'm heartbroken, because this is my life's work. And I don't believe that we need to make these kind of cuts, especially not in high school, based on the number of students we have and the current budget projections as I understand them. After working so hard in my career and finally reaching the top of the salary schedule, master's plus 45, I found that I actually have lost purchasing power every year since. Because without any second column, you never get a raise again the entire rest of your career, unless the COLA is adjusted. One of the classes I teach at the high school is personal finance, and several experts, including Dave Ramsey and Susie Ormond, state that you have to make at least 6% a year just to keep up with taxes inflation. Guess what? I've never been able to keep up. And although this year's longevity stipend has helped, I continue to fall behind. And I am now tapped out. I've been a single parent for the past 15 years, and although my kids are now grown, it has continued to be a challenge to live on one income. In the past 10 years or so, I've experienced several major health issues, including a deadly hip infection, surgery and extensive rehab, kidney stones, a hysterectomy, and this past December, blood clots in my lungs. It's been really hard to make ends meet. Our district finances have been deeply impacted by a number of choices, several of these based on misguided priorities that do not align with the core values of our community. Around safety. I am asking this board to make different decisions moving forward. Please do not adopt any budget that doesn't include enough money for significant teacher salary raises. The Philomath School District is a great place because of the dedication of our teachers and staff. It's time to start truly supporting educators and showing that you understand our work.
Hello, I'm April McKinney. I live in Albany. I'm a special education teacher with a K-12 at Philomath High School and at the Philomath Academy. I value the school system because my 3 children are students here. We're thriving because this is a wonderful place to work and learn. I have educator friends who have considered applying for teaching jobs in Philomath. The 2 of them recently told me that they can't afford to be here because Philomath doesn't pay enough and because the insurance package doesn't measure up to what they need to earn a living wage or to keep adequate insurance for their family. I came to Philomath from a neighboring school system knowing that I would take a $10,000 a year pay cut and that I would be bumped down 2 steps on the salary schedule while maxing out what I could ever make before the cost of living increase. I believe in the core values of this school system, but this is the first summer as a teacher that I've decided to seek out a temporary full-time summer job to supplement the difference in pay and insurance so that I can afford to stay here. With previous insurance, my son's cardiology visits were $200 per checkup, and now they are $800 per checkup since my insurance has changed in Philomath. I can only imagine what a procedure would cost since he needs a heart transplant in the future, and one of his previous 3 open heart surgeries that did have complications totaled $967,000. 100% of that surgery was covered by my previous insurance also. At the risk of being vulnerable, and for context, my family is almost out of debt to keep us on track with financial needs that we know we will have due to my son's diagnosis and to prepare us for any other unforeseen things that might come up in life just like anyone plans for. However, I feel like I need to work this summer so that we stay on track since there are talks of such low pay increases in this district. After listening in on the bargaining sessions, I hesitantly prioritized working this summer over going camping with my family when we get out of school to secure a job that started the day we had planned to go camping because I was offered this job. And I wanted to be proactive in order to be able to afford to continue teaching in this district. But I feel that this is at a time that is crucial for building memories with my children. So that does upset me. This has actually made me question if staying in this district is a financially sustainable plan for my family long term. I hope so, because I do love it here. Please invest generously in the PSD educators and staff so that we can earn a living wage while teaching students to also become productive citizens in the community. Thank you for the opportunity to be in Philomath as an educator. Thank you for your service and your time.
Haley Van Wild. I'm not real good at some names.
The kids just call me Miss Haley. Hello, and thank you for letting me speak today. My name is Haley Vanderbilt. I am a music teacher at Clemens Primary School, Blodgett Elementary, and Philomath Middle School. I have been with Philomath Schools for just 1 year, and I've been a public school teacher for 9 years, most of those years in the state of New Mexico. I am here tonight to speak about the adoption of the proposed budget for 2023-24 school year. While I spent much of my teaching career in New Mexico, I am originally from Oregon. While teaching in Albuquerque, I met my now fiance, who was born and raised here in Lebanon, and we decided to move back to Oregon together last year, which is when I was lucky enough to find a job here with Philomath Schools. I have loved my time here, but to be frank, working for this district is not something that would have been possible for me if I was a sole income household. I was only able to work in this position because I was able to share expenses with my partner at the salary schedule position that I'm at. As you know, I will not be returning to Philomath Public Schools next year for personal reasons. However, in just 1 year, I have come to love my students and my colleagues in this district. It's one of the best places I have been, maybe the best place I've ever been. I've made some amazing connections here. When I found out, I would love to see this position filled with a highly qualified candidate. When I found out that a dear friend of mine from Albuquerque was planning to move to the Pacific Northwest, I was thrilled. He is a highly qualified music teacher with several advanced degrees. However, unlike me, he is the sole income of his household. And when I told him what a wonderful experience I had had here, my friend eagerly looked into the position which I am leaving. However, when he found out that he would have to take a nearly $20,000 pay cut to work in a similar position in which he works in Albuquerque, with living expenses substantially higher than where he lives in Albuquerque, his search was immediately cut. This is just one real example of a great teacher of this district missed out on due to neglecting to prioritize teacher pay. Districts should prioritize their students' pay teachers as the professionals that they are. I realize you're in a tough position and needing to pass a budget soon, but I'm urging you to take the time to make sure this budget leaves room and flexibility to bargain fairly with the teachers' union when the time comes. Even if that means scheduling another meeting before July 1st. Thank you for your time.
Alyssa Molest.
Hi,
Hi.
I'm Melissa Molesky, and I live in Philomath. These are my other first grade teachers at Clemens.
Yeah, I'm Susan Hobbs. I currently reside in Albany. I've been here in the district for 20 years.
Julie Ray, I also work at CPS first grade at Philomath. I am Alyssa Blackstone. I live in Corvallis, and this is my third year in the district at first grade.
We are here to speak tonight about the adoption of the proposed budget for 2023-2024. First, we would like to thank you, the board members. We really appreciate your service to our district, and thanks for giving us the time to speak tonight. We'd like to speak tonight about our perspective as teachers. As you've heard from a lot of our colleagues already, we're all in different places in our lives. Some of us are veteran teachers. Some of us are a little newer to the district. Some of us are married. Some of us have young families. Some of us have crushing student debt. Some of us can't afford to retire. Some of us can't afford to buy a home in the area that we teach. We're worried about caring for our families, getting our basic needs met, and surviving this economy. We are highly qualified, excellent teachers. We show student growth year after year. We lay the foundation for all of their future learning. Our teaching conditions have become our students' learning conditions. We love our district, we love our school, we love our principal, and we want to stay here. But we need to be able to support ourselves and our families. We're supportive of the PEA bargaining team's proposal of the 8% COLA. A budget should not be a choice between teachers earning living wage or cutting support staff. That's not putting our kids' education first.
I speak for myself when I say I had a fantastic school year, maybe the best ever in my 10 years of teaching. The social, emotional, and academic growth my students made this year was tremendous. And for me, the supports that I had between Colin Courthauer, our behavior specialist, and Daniel Carter, my assistant, made all the difference in the world. For the first time in a really long time, I felt like I was able to meet all the needs of all of my students. My students thrived. I was able to do my job. I was able to teach, which is what I'm here to do. I know from experience, having attempted to teach without these supports, that I would have been extremely stressed on a daily basis, if not for my IA and for Mr. K. I absolutely love my job. I don't want to burn out. My hope is to retire from this district in 30 years from now. I want to come to school every day with the same energy and enthusiasm and care for my students that I had this year. Because I know when I show up at my best, my students thrive. Please find a creative solution to pay us what we're worth and give students what they deserve, support they deserve. Shouldn't be a choice. We understand that it's difficult for the district to plan for its budget because of the delays in the approval of funds from the state legislature. And we also understand that a budget must be passed before July 1st. But we're asking you tonight to only approve this proposed budget if it has the ability to provide flexibility for salary increases that our educators need and the support that our students deserve in the classroom. It's confusing to us that we're being told that we're going to lose our crucial classroom educational assistance, yet we don't know what we can be offered for a cost of living increase. How can we know that we must cut staff, yet we don't know what we can settle on with our bargaining team? We would like the board to consider postponing the approval of the budget until there's more information about the funds. This will provide you time as the board to look over the budget and find areas where money might be adjusted to meet these needs of our students. If the board postpones today, they could reconvene prior to July 1st with a new and improved budget in place, one that reflects your values and the values of this district. Thank you for your time, and thank you for listening to our request.
Jerry Gross.
Hello, I'm Carrie Gross, and I live in Albany, Oregon. I'm a kindergarten teacher at Clemens Primary School. This is my 9th year in the district, and I'm here tonight to speak about the adoption of the proposed budget for 2023-2024. I appreciate all of the time and hard work that you as the board have put into our district. Because of the hard work and dedication of all the people in this room, this school district is growing and thriving. I want to share my support of the PEA bargaining team's proposal of an 8% COLA because it addresses the impact of inflation that we have all experienced this year and last. As a mother, this would help immensely with the cost of daycare, which is nearly $1,100 a month for one child. 5 years ago, my husband and I bought our first house, and we would have loved to have bought in Philomath, but the housing market is more expensive and competitive here. We would love to be able to afford it to live in the district in which I teach and send my daughter to our district. The 8% COLA would help us to meet this goal. I know it isn't easy to put together a budget. I respect all of the time and hard work that has gone into it. I just ask that you prioritize increasing the COLA for teachers. If you don't feel confident about what this budget proposal can offer students and staff, please consider not adopting yet. Thank you for your time.
Dan Mom.
Thanks for giving me the opportunity to share tonight. My name is Daniel Mock. I'm a 7th grade teacher at the middle school here. I live here in Paloma. This is my first year here in the district. I've been an educator for 19 years. Most of my time I was in the Lincoln County School District, specifically at TAF 712 in Lincoln City. I'm grateful for having the opportunity to work here. There were many things that came together that kind of forced us, in a sense, to move here. And I'm not going to go into all of those details for the sake of time, but ultimately it was in the best interest of my wife and my children to find a better place for them, a better environment for them to grow up in. I was hired in 2008. It's a number that might mean something to some of us in here when it comes to economics. And my first 2 years at TAF, I was laid off because of budget cuts. And then my 3rd year, my position was reduced to half-time because of budget cuts. And thankfully, I was able to be brought back full-time each of those years, but I had to dodge some serious bullets and hope and pray that other teachers left so that the FTE would be open so that I could sneak my way back in and have a job. Financially, we're dealing with the same thing that everybody else in our country is obviously dealing with. I know hard decisions have to be made by all parties that are involved. I do want to share a little bit into my own life, just so you kind of understand where I'm coming from financially. My son, who just turned 15, he was born with autism, and that created an unexpected set of circumstances and expenses on our family. All of the testing, all of the things that we went through with that, trying to get him early intervention, that created a lot of financial strain on us. Not long after my daughter Lillian was born, who goes to Clemens Primary School here as a 1st grader, my wife was diagnosed with an autoimmune disorder, which there's no cure that we know of. And at some point, she probably will lose the ability to feel her hands and her feet. We've gone into tremendous amounts of debt because of all of the expenses. The medical insurance that we had offered to us in Lincoln County wasn't really all that great. Moving here, I decided because of the expense to take what was, in my mind, probably one of the more least desirable options because it was cheaper. And even now, I still have to pay an additional $300 a month out of my check towards what I would consider the inferior coverage more than I did when I was in Lincoln City. It was an expensive place to live in Lincoln City because of the tourism town. And yet when we would negotiate with our school board, they would always look at the numbers of some other place. And I feel that we have a similar circumstance. We are close to Corvallis. It's expensive in Corvallis. We're affected by Corvallis, but we live a whopping 4 miles away. Out of necessity, I started to DoorDash drive to make some extra money. Not because I want to, but because I need to. So that you are aware, and some of my colleagues know this, but most don't. I work about 30 hours a week in addition to the hours that I put in to my teaching job to make money. My wife is not able to work, even if she wanted to. Some of you who have been here for a long time, perhaps you have a mortgage that costs you $800 a month or $1,000 a month, depending on when you locked it in. Today, that same mortgage, if you're trying to make that deal, it's going to be closer to somewhere between $2,000 and $2,500 a month, and that's what I would be faced with if I wanted to try to buy a home here. Which I'd like to do that. I would love to retire here. It's been a real pleasure and a privilege to be here. But there's a lot of things that are in the air with it. My rent is about half of my salary. The medical expenses I have because of the needs of my wife and my son, that's significant. I have a lot of out of pocket in addition to what I would pay out of pocket just to have premiums. What I do know, and I'll wrap things up here, This is a great place to be. We have parental support in a way that nothing even close to where I used to be. Community support, good teachers, good administrators, student involvement and engagement in the community. Philomath has a reputation outside of this place. I knew about some of those things before I came here. And it was one of the reasons I applied, quite frankly. And you get to be a part of that legacy going forward, because the decisions that you made, there's ripple effects. And it's going to affect all of us. It's going to affect our salaries. What you do this summer is going to affect the rest of our careers. It's going to affect our retirement. And some people who would like to get to that point have deserved that. It'd be nice if they could get there, and if you could help them along the way. So thank you for your time. I really appreciate it.
Yeah. No, that's all three cards that I have. Okay, at this time, we will close the regular session and open the budget hearing for discussion.
There's been lots of discussion about the budget already, but, so the budget process, we've gone through two pieces of it. We've gone through the presenting a balanced budget to the budget committee. The budget committee meets, looks at the budget and approves the balanced budget. And now the budget hearing is to be held in public session, where public testimony can be given on the budget. We've heard a lot of that already. I don't know if there's any more that the board wants to attest to. If the board decides to move forward, they can adopt the budget as is. If not, you can come back at a later session after revisions. The board can choose to change any budget pieces up to 10% within each fund without having another budget committee meeting. If changes are more than 10% within a fund, then we would have to pull the budget committee back together again. The appropriations that are set are based on the best evidence that we have for resources and expenditures at this time. Changes can be made within those appropriations as we see fit, as the board sees fit. But like I said, if they're more than 10%, we have to come back to the budget committee meeting and have another budget hearing. It's been a pretty difficult budget session. We've got lots of unknowns, lots of things to work through, and I hope we never have to do it again. We've heard that 10-2 is the word on the street, and that it's most likely to get approved. It has not gotten approved yet for state school funding. We have an estimate on what that gives us, and we've tried to work within those. If the board feels like there's some changes that can be made, we can work through it again. Else, Susan?
Okay, hearing no more from business manager, superintendent, time for board discussion.
Do we know anything beyond the public, what have been given the legislature about 10.2, or do you hear anything else?
It'll be 10.2, it's just a matter of when it will be 10.2.
Because I heard some discussion from the Republican side of 10.4, but I never got any confirmation of that.
Yeah, it's much like our budget. There's a pot of money for everything, and it's just a matter of how you divvy up that pot. So I suppose the legislature could do 10.4, but then the question is where are they getting that from? And at this point, the budget's pretty baked. It's just not passed yet. So
we're going to talk about redirecting any kicker funds. I don't know if they can. But
well, no, I mean, we get the corporate kicker already goes to schools, and that's been higher than anticipated. But general funds, so.
So theoretically, Jennifer, when you say, we have a lot of leeway to work with the budget, say the 10%, if let's say theoretically, the full COLA that the teachers are asking for was bargained and agreed to, how much would that raise? Would that exceed the 10% from wherever the salaries and benefits come from? Or
We would have to move something else
sure.
out, so I don't see that it would change it.
I just wanted to know if we have everybody tonight, not everybody, a lot of people are asking, make sure we have a budget that can handle the negotiations. I just wanted, and if we had to bring the budget committee back together, we could, clearly. But I just wanted, there's a lot of flexibility.
Within the appropriations in the general fund, it's possible that it would fit, but we have to move something else.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. Just again, theoretically, I just want to make sure, because if we adopt it tonight, we can always change it later if necessary.
Yes.
And just for context, so the Senate has not been operating for the past 6 or 7 weeks. They just came back today. So the House Bill 5015A contains appropriates money from general fund, Department of Education, and State School Fund, passed out of the House on the 7th, and then had its first reading in the Senate today. So it should be passed out of the Senate soon. In the next few days, those 4 senators are going to be on the floor for 15 hours a day for the next several weeks. So they'll get to it. Just don't know when. Yeah.
My feeling is I'd rather pass the budget tonight and if necessary, bring it back to a later budget committee meeting if necessary, rather than not having it pass and have to come back to the sort of my feeling.
I think my feeling is I would rather actually just table it. And I mean, clearly there's some impassioned people here tonight. And I just don't feel like that would be, I feel like we would be showing much more respect if we went back and looked at this again. It might not change, but at least we heard you, we went back and looked to see what we could do differently. And so that's how I will be voting.
Sure. We have 2 weeks then, basically, just over 2 weeks that we would have to have another meeting. I know I have time later in the month where I'm not here, but I'm sure we can work something out for another meeting.
I guess, sorry, Rick, what's tough?
If we come back as a budget committee or as a board?
If changes are less than 10%, it can be handled by the board. Less than 10% within each fund and appropriate.
10% of the total budget?
Of each fund.
10% of the fund?
Of the fund, yes.
Okay.
Not of the total budget.
Like the fund had $1 million in it and we wanted to change it by more than 100,000, we'd have to come back for it, just for that.
That's my math teacher, but I got it.
What?
I said that's my math teacher.
No, I was just for procedural matter. If we had to get 10 people together or 5 people together, is basically what the question is. So it sounds like we only need to get 5 together. Well, I guess we'd have to do 10 if it's more than 10%.
Right.
Yeah.
So I guess my question would be is, when are we going to know how much it is if we decide to do something different?
I guess my thing is the vast majority of our salaries come out of general fund, which right now is at 22.8 million. I guess I don't see us being able to change that by more than 10%. I just don't know how we would change that by more. I don't know where we get that money.
2.2 million, is that?
2.8 million.
2.8.
So I don't know where, I would love to increase that by 2.8. I don't know how we do that. So I guess I'm comfortable.
Okay.
I don't think we need to reconvene the budget committee because I don't think we're going to discover $2.8 million under a mattress in the next 2 weeks.
I'm glad that you've got the numbers.
Yes.
I don't have the numbers in front of me.
So I don't think we'll be changing that by more.
It's just moving the money.
Right.
10% of the money, then we have to. So it's not just finding more money.
Right, but I don't think we're going to find 2.8 million in funds 200, 284, 286, 295. I mean, most of these funds don't even have
unless we just
$1
really
million
take the one fund.
So, yeah.
Okay. Well, I mean, I'll entertain a motion to do whatever somebody wants to do. If you want to move, that we table it and
Yes, so I move that you table the budget decision for this evening and reconvene as a board to look through the budget and see if there's anything we can do to make a difference.
okay.
I'll second that.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. Is there any further discussion?
Can I just say one, just for the crowd? I want to be clear, we will take a look at this and see what we can do. At the end of the day, the bottom number won't change, which is how much money we have to work with. So we will see how we can maybe divvy that up, but just, I don't want to have this table and be promising something we might not be able to deliver on. We are given a certain amount of money by our taxpayers, and that's all we get. So I want to preface this decision by saying that it's up to us what we do with that pie, but it's not up to us how big the pie is. So, yeah.
Okay. So it's been moved and seconded. After discussion, is there any more discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, signify by raising the hand. All right, motion passes 5-0. And now the thing. Get your calendars out, and we need to set a date.
There you go.
Huh?
I was hoping to get more meetings.
I know, I told all my friends, like, this is my last board meeting, we can hang out more after this.
Not what I'm saying.
Got some times that are blocked out, but I can't make it.
Well, I've got the 23rd next week, is the only day that I can.
We have
do it.
to make
Which
the
is
public
Friday.
between 72 hours. What is our public
What?
notice required?
24 hours.
24 hours.
Okay.
Something like
Yeah,
that.
we won't have a problem with that.
Friday, is that right? Okay.
I think it's 48 hours?
No, it's 24. It's 24 hours.
We're not meeting on Saturday.
So next week, Rick?
The only time I have next week is next Friday.
The only time available or not?
The only time that I'm available.
Oh, we can do that.
I can do next Friday.
What time?
Well, probably after people get done working.
Okay. Well, I'll be at the coast and it's workshop, so I just want to make sure I leave that workshop in enough time to get back.
We can do it at 7 o'clock. It's not going to be a long meeting. If you need that time or 6 o'clock, I mean.
I'm up at 3 on Friday, so.
Okay. Can you make a 6 o'clock meeting?
I will make it 6 o'clock for you guys.
Okay. Can everybody make a 6 o'clock meeting?
I'll be there whenever you tell me.
Sure.
All right.
All right, let's go for, are you okay with that, Susan? Jennifer, 6 o'clock on Friday?
I'll make it work.
Okay. All right, we have a meeting on the 23rd for the budget work session at 6 o'clock.
Yes.
Okay.
Work session.
But I guess,
So,
well, it'll have to be another public hearing. So I guess.
We don't have to have another public budget hearing per se, but we do have to adopt a new budget or adopt the budget in a public meeting.
Right.
yeah.
So for example, we either can or don't have to allow public comment then. I don't know if we want to decide that now or wait until that meeting to see how many people show up, et cetera, but.
Work session.
Well, we could actually adopt the budget at that meeting if it's advertised. You know,
Yes,
so.
we adopted at a
Yeah.
public session.
Okay,
Any public session after the budget hearing.
okay. Let's advertise it as such at this point, so that it gives us the option that if we come to consensus on things, then we can have a budget adoption vote.
I know Michelle's back there somewhere, I just can't see her. She's out recording. Okay. We're good.
Yeah, on the 21st. Yeah. What about 21st? We have a bargaining session.
Oh.
Yeah. So, okay, with that being said, is there any more public comment? There's a spot for public comment underneath this. Donna?
Jill made a comment that it wasn't gonna be a long meeting, I'm just hoping it's gonna be long enough for the action really to be revealed.
Of course.
Okay, thank you for clarifying that, you just said. It's
Well,
not gonna be a long meeting,
So
and
when
that's
you're
what I'm
talking,
saying,
Donna, when you're talking a
just wanna be
typical,
sure that you're taking it
typical
seriously.
board meeting is 2 to 3 hours, it's not gonna be a 2 to 3 hour.
Okay.
Well, I hope not, but Donna, what I'm hoping is that the board members will take the budget, read it, make notes, come to the meeting prepared, to make changes if we think there's changes that can be made, and do it in a timely manner.
And I just want to say back then, it makes a big difference to feel heard and respected that you're willing to consider this and take your time, because we do know it's an instrument. So, yes, thank you.
Well, in my opinion, the five of us, if we did not listen to our constituents, the teachers, classified, unrepresented, admin, the whole district, we would be very remiss in what we got elected to do.
Don't feel bad for making me and Karen come to another meeting. We're happy to come to more meetings.
They've got nothing but time.
Yeah, we gotta make it count.
I'll take this time to publicly apologize for the myriad of emails that Jennifer will continue to get from me, as she has all along.
Yes, I just poked my head into her office earlier with no warning, so.
Okay, at this time, we will close the budget hearing and reopen the regular session. So, 23, 24 budget actions, I guess we don't need to do those because we postponed that. So we will go into reports. And I know PEA doesn't have one because, you are? Oh, okay. Well, Lynn said he wasn't gonna be here, so.
Where's your wrench?
Red doesn't get fit under.
My apologies, I didn't understand you guys were gonna do this, so.
Good evening, I'm Dave Dunham.
Oh, Nicole Stevie.
Nicole Stevie, we're the newly elected co-presidents of the Plymouth Education Association. Unopposed. We're happy to be here tonight to introduce ourselves and our PEA executive officers. In addition to us, Shar Alpine is our vice president. Lynn Cerny is our treasurer. Shelley Brown is our secretary. And Elaine Hall is our OEM representative. We also have 2 building representatives for each of our 4 larger schools and 1 representative each from the Philomath Academy and Blodgett School. I'd like to take a moment this time to recognize outgoing PEA President Lynn Cerny and thank him for his service to PEA and the Philomath School District. Lynn has worked tirelessly over the past 2 years to represent and advocate for our members and the students in this district through his work with PEA. On behalf of us, thank you, Lynn. He's not here, but understandably. In the year ahead, Nicole and I look forward to working with the district administration and the school board to represent the interests of our members, to continue to strengthen our working relationships while addressing member and administrative concerns regarding contract issues, working conditions, budgeting, and the ongoing challenges of supporting and educating the students of Philomath. We are committed to clear communication, organizational transparency, and association unity as part of our genuine efforts to create fair and equitable outcomes for all involved. This month's PEA report can be summed up pretty simply. We continue discussing various personnel and organizational issues with administration, business as usual for union leadership. There is a lot more work to do though. Our district has experienced more than its share of turmoil over the past several years, decades. We encourage the administration and school board to join us in working to reestablish a solid workplace footing for our members, one grounded in dignity, value, safety, and trust, as part of a model of excellence that Philomath has continually represented. Most important, we need to get a contract signed between the PEA and the district. We seek a contract that meets the needs of our members economically and legally. The members of the PEA are unified in our determination to reach a fair and equitable settlement. As leaders, we support the efforts of the bargaining team and will continue to work to support them throughout the process. Again, we are honored to have been chosen by our colleagues to represent them as PEA presidents. I am so proud to be part of this outstanding, dedicated, and oh so passionate group of educators. We look forward to working with district administration and school board to ensure that Philomath continues to grow as the best school district in the state of Oregon.
Thank you. OSEA. There we go.
Laura Shun, I live in Corvallis, co-president with Amber here for the classified union. And after everything we heard tonight, this sounds like what we have to say is very tiny, and I wish we would have went before them. So we've had a pretty good year. We've worked in JLMC with Susan all year on some issues concerns that have come up, and they'll continue through that next year. I think with the delay of what we're doing here tonight, it's probably going to bring up some more concerns, and we'll try to handle those tomorrow because it's their last day. So now I think I have more questions than I did when I got here, but other than that, I will keep doing what we're doing, and we'll be here next year. Good. Yep.
Thank you. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, student representative to the board report.
I'm gonna do this part too. We went through a truncated and very speedy process, thanks to Mr. Dunham's this organization. But we did attract a field of 6 interested candidates for the school board position. And this morning we finalized our election, and we selected Philomath sophomore Reagan McKinney, a new student to our district this year, daughter of an educator, and just a truly outstanding young human being who I'm really happy to be working with. Through school, her name is Reagan McKinney, and it's spelled R-A-E-G-A-N. I know it's R-A-E, because I write it wrong every single time. Anyway, this is Reagan. Come on up here, Reagan. People at the school who know Reagan in her first year there couldn't be any happier to have her representing our student body, and the students really supported her candidacy. So she's going to be a great school board member. Take advantage of her, put her work. She's got a great attitude and a great intellect. So, thank you. So what's the she'll be a junior next year? She will be a junior.
That was the plan. I mean, we can do it tomorrow.
I don't have it.
Oh.
But we can do it.
Wait, it's in board policy. Didn't we put it in there? 1 second.
It was? Could do it.
Field of office.
Find a piece of paper.
Oh, so swear.
We're standing at ease. I think I got it. Yeah, there's this, do you want to? It's that little paragraph.
Oh, the little paragraph, okay.
I can do it. No, I can do it. I'll come out to That's better. I don't need my glasses. Okay, so if you want to repeat after me, when I say I, then you say your name, and then the rest of it. I
of radio and Canada,
will support the Constitution and laws of the United States,
will support the Constitution and the laws of the United States,
the state of Oregon and the laws thereof,
the state of Oregon and the laws thereof,
and the policies of the Paloma School District,
and the policies of the Paloma School District,
and will discharge the duties of student representative to the Paloma School District Board of Education to the best of my ability. Part of it, then I'll repeat part of it again.
discharge
I will discharge the duties of student representative
I will discharge the duties of student representative
to the Paloma School District Board of Education
to the Paloma School District Board of Education
to the best of my ability.
to the best of my ability.
Welcome aboard.
Awesome.
And as you can see, it's really fun. Everyone loves it.
Okay, moving on, Technology Department report. Oh, yeah, there's
Yeah. Oh, thank you.
Well, good evening, folks. I know it's been a long day, so we'll try and keep this brief. My name is Mark Neville. I'm the IT director of the school district. And this is Joshua Martin, and I'm the system administrator. I live in Corvallis. I'm here to speak to you tonight about cybersecurity and the need for two-factor authentication. First and foremost, here's what's going on now. Every staff member at Paloma School District has a Google account. This is used for Gmail, Google Drive, and a few other services. As of this moment, we do not require two-factor to be enabled. However, OSPA is requiring a commitment to two-factor for all staff email accounts by June 2023 and enforcing it by June of 2024. So very briefly, what is two-factor authentication? Currently, to log in, you enter your email address and your password, and you're authenticated. Soon, you'll need your email, password, and an additional step, a second factor. This begs the question, what is a second factor, or what is a factor in general? A factor is something that you are, like a fingerprint, something that you have, like a key, or something that you know, like a password. Why two factors? Why is OSBA requiring this? It's estimated that two-factor reduces the likelihood of your account being compromised by over 90%. Say your password is stolen or leaked. This happens often when people reuse the same password for multiple things, and it's much less of an issue when there's a second factor used for authentication. For staff, it's as quick and simple to set up, and it takes about 10 seconds to add to the login process.
So two-factor is all about preventing someone other than you from logging into your account. Precisely because account compromise, as it's called, is the critical foot in the door for a variety of cyber attacks. And you're likely thinking, as I did, cyber attacks in education. Why are we a target? Well, we have tons of student data, and children are excellent candidates for identity theft, in large part because their credit reports are almost never monitored, and they're not likely to know about any incidents until a little bit. Education across the board has also historically had somewhat lax security practices for a variety of reasons. This only exacerbated things when, during and after COVID, we became very heavily dependent on technology. Those new systems need to be properly secured and maintained with refined standards and practices for everyone who uses them, and that is very seldom the case. So if there were an attack, what risks are we facing? Number one is absolutely ransomware. This is where an attacker encrypts important data, effectively scrambling it, and will only give over the password to decrypt it if the ransom is paid. Number 2 is phishing with a PA. This is where an attacker tries to trick a staff member into revealing their information, usually by having them log into a fake website or pretending to work for Google or Microsoft. I'm sure you've all seen or heard of those before. And number 3 is called an insider threat, where a staff member is paid or extorted to steal sensitive data. Now, two-factor, when implemented correctly, nearly eliminates the risk and damage of all 3 of these, as well as many other types of attacks. So just how likely is this to hit us? Well, in a word, very. 56% of lower education institutions in the US were hit with some form of ransomware in 2021. 60% were able to recover their data, 40% were not. You may as well flip a coin. And even if the data is returned in a usable form, the attacker will keep a copy for themselves in order to sell on the black market. The downtime required to investigate and repair when something like this happens is 3 to 6 months on average and costs over $1.5 million. There are stories of schools who never recover fully and have to close their doors after attacks like these, and that's just one type of attack. Just a few weeks ago, a nearby school district found out that an attacker had stolen funds using a staff member's Google account and changing direct deposit information. Two-factor authentication would absolutely have prevented this. What then is the plan for Flowma? We've already sent out preliminary emails detailing the process of enabling two-factor. It must be enabled by the staff member. It takes about 90 seconds to do it. When using our preferred method, after entering your password, you receive a text message with a 6-digit code. When you enter that code into Google, you are logged in. There will also be physical security keys available, provided by the district. They look a bit like a flash drive. Like this. You plug them into an available USB port and press the button to authenticate. So why was text message, or SMS, the method of choice? There are a number of ways to accomplish two-factor, and after much deliberation and research, we ultimately found the SMS method to be the simplest and most efficient for a number of reasons. Almost everyone has a cell phone. Almost everyone already uses their cell phone for work communication, and very rarely does anyone forget their phone, at least in comparison to the key. Many other institutions use an app on a phone as a second factor, possibly using a fingerprint or facial recognition. This is perfectly safe and secure, but for those with privacy concerns, this is likely more difficult to sell. But perhaps the largest reason is cost. Security keys are the gold standard of two-factor. However, while there is no direct cost associated with SMS authentication, security keys must be purchased and subsequently replaced when broken or missing. The current pricing is around $20 per unit.
Now, some employees have noted they feel uncomfortable and otherwise concerned about using their personal phone for authentication, and I'd like to address some of those concerns. No one is required to use their phone. For those who do not wish to do so, the district will provide a security key. Just this morning, we submitted an initial order for 50 units. Phones used purely for two-factor authentication are not subject to subpoena in a legal event involving the district, as the codes are not considered district data. That is per the district's legal counsel, and several court cases have established this already. Google will not use two-factor authentication number for advertising. Google will not sell the 2FA phone number to anyone. In fact, Google will not use the 2FA number for anything other than to log in security events. Enabling 2FA via text message does not allow Google, the district, or anyone in the tech department to see your text messages, track your phone, or view your photos. Nor does it grant us any kind of permission to see or dictate what you use your personal phone for. Most staff can expect to receive less than a dozen text messages per month. Google will prompt you to enter one if you haven't logged in a long time, if you're logging into a new device for the first time, or randomly around once every 2 weeks. And finally, if a staff member enables 2FA and forgets their phone at home, we can provide backup codes to allow them to log in. We have been working tirelessly behind the scenes with the specific goal of improving our district's security. To put things into context, we recently presented a report to our security expert from LBL, Richard Thomas, who stated that in the month of May alone, we had accomplished 6 months worth of work. It's an unfortunate fact that we very often, the first point of entry for an attack is an account of a teacher or a staff member. We do everything possible possible to ensure we don't disrupt workflow, but there simply is no way around two-factor. It is a minor inconvenience, but a massive step ensuring the safety of our kids, our staff, and our community. Thank you.
Thank you. I got a question.
Yes.
Do I have to do this too?
Yes.
You're kidding me. I can't even tell you what my password is now. I just push the thing on the phone and it comes up.
We will help you get that taken care of.
That's one of the reasons that I wanted Marvin to.
Will students need to do this as well, or
So
do
far-
they don't have to because they're not linked into systems?
So far, it's only staff that are required for this. So we are moving forward with that staff requirement. This is for case insurance, making sure we keep our cybersecurity
Absolutely.
guidance. So,
Just to add to that, because students typically don't have a whole lot of access into the main radio systems, it's much less of an issue.
Okay, because they do log into Wazzle, they do log into some of those systems.
Yes.
Those are very easy entries, unfortunately. It's like, we have found out that the menu being on TVs and healthcare systems is actually a security breach weakness. And they're just, all these weird little side ways, and I was just picturing a kindergartner trying to do second factor authentication.
oh gosh, yes.
Bringing me joy in my heart to think of how funny it would be that the kindergartner would have to explain to their teacher how to do it, because they wouldn't know how to do it. Or not teacher, excuse me, their parent, how to do it, because they would know how to do it already.
So Nora sent staff an email about this, because I have not yet had an email about this, and I have, the board members all have district email accounts.
We have emailed initially all staff with the plan from moving forward. I'm sorry if you guys have not.
Yeah, we haven't moved to that next step.
Okay, that's fine.
No,
Yeah, it's okay. If you don't send it to me, then I don't have to.
No, you guys will be getting an email directly from us.
Okay. Or maybe,
It's not a phishing email, it's
No.
directly from you.
Yeah.
Hopefully it'll be in about 16 days, right?
it was very informal chatting. Well, can I just say one, I very much appreciate, your reports are always very well done and professional, and I appreciate everything you do for the district, and that you're doing this just at work. We found out that like an ODOT contractor had a data breach, now everyone's driver's license data's out there, so I'd rather have that be their problem, not ours.
Thank you.
Mark and Josh and team have really worked hard on this, and in fact, it's nice that the LBL staff tout them as the regional champions of what's happening in the area of cybersecurity. And so they're working hard to be able to keep us safe, and when you look at the amounts of money and just the inconvenience that can happen, it's pretty awesome to work with.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, but I can't argue with Can you guys hold on for just 1 second?
Sure.
Before you leave, and I know it probably looks like kind of a mass exodus, but I would like to introduce one of our new school board members who's sitting in the audience. Sandy Herring, will you please stand up and be recognized?
Just be easy. I'm a newbie.
All right, can I just say one thing which is that we very much appreciate hearing from the folks that we serve.
Yes.
And I think one thing the board has struggled with, and I think is working on and needs to do more work on, is making sure that we are hearing that. It's a little challenging just because we all have other jobs and aren't in the district every day. And I know sometimes it's not appealing for folks to come out on a Thursday night at 7 p.m. and talk to us. So thank you all for doing that. And I hope that generally there's like 2 people sitting here. So I'm glad that there's more than 2. And I thank you all for being engaged, and I hope that continues. And I hope we all also go into schools and say hi, but I thank you for taking your evening here. I just want to say that before you take the rest of your evening not here. So, thank you.
Okay. report.
And I have no additional report this evening as we finish up the year, and my stance this evening was more about than about hearing and pontificating. So I'm going to be settled in listening and be able to move us forward.
Okay, with that being said,
We want to wait for them to come back?
Oh.
Let it settle down a little bit.
okay, I'm just trying to move this along.
Okay, sure.
We're kind of late. Financial report, Jennifer.
Well, we've already talked a lot about future budgets, but today you have information in your board packet about current year and where we're at. There's also a resolution in there to appropriate some funds that we had not had appropriated before. And making sure that this is in there as we close out the year, because our appropriations are getting very close and we can't end the year with overspending any appropriations. So those additional funds are somewhat attributed to the local option equalization grant and in prior year state school fund reimbursement that we got. So hopefully you will approve that appropriation resolution. Some other pieces in the board packet were the enrollment reports, and you can see we held pretty steady this year. We had a little bit of loss from last month to this month. That's normal, May to June, as we exit some seniors. But other than that, I don't really have anything else, except for it sounds like we have some work to do in the budget over the next week.
Thank you, Jennifer. Anybody got any questions for Jennifer?
Yes, I do have one question. The ending enrollment for this year, is that the number that was submitted for funding for next year, like close to our ending enrollment?
It's probably a little bit higher than what we submitted, but not much.
Okay, I just could not remember when that was submitted.
I think it was 1574.
Okay, so very close. Okay, thank you.
Okay. All right, moving on, we will go to strategy and discussion. Number one is the forest property, castle, downing, and other options.
And thanks to Jessica Hansen's help, we have a meeting scheduled for Monday to discuss forest property. And the primary part of that is the cleanup of downing following the storms in January. We have to look out for safety risk and all those kinds of things. So we've got to do something out there. The question is how much and to what degree. And also to take the time to look at what are the other, how much are we using the castle forest property that we have access to. There are a couple of other pieces of consideration with some land that we own behind the elementary school. And might that be a consideration for some forest property or some outdoor education for kids at multiple levels that may be an add for us based on the agreement to punch through the 16th Street that might have some options to be able to take a look at how we use that property that belongs to the district behind that. But the question remains about what we need to do to make the current downing forest habitable. And so the meeting on Monday will be with the career and technical, some members of the Career and Technical Education Forestry Advisory Committee. Rick will be there as well, representing the school board. Jessica will be there. Let's see, we'll have an arborist there. And so the general idea is to say, what does cleanup look like to get us into a place of being safe? And you know, do we need to, what do we need to take down and take out? A secondary part of that, after we make those determinations, we'll start to look at being able to have the inclusion of the city And especially to be able to look at what do we do to be able to consider the maintenance of some of the integrity of the cross-country course. So, the conversation was the trees that were planted out there haven't done the best. So is there something else that could be planted out there that may help maintain some of the look and feel of a forested course that takes all that into consideration. And so that will be the opportunity to make sure we have the input that we need on that front too, and being able to involve the city at that point as well. So we're on our way to having the conversations because we know we have to clean up what we need to clean up this summer. And we need to be ready as kids come back because cross-country will start. And we know that we've been living with it in terms of people going in and out of there, and it's a liability concern for the safety with all the root balls of those trees up and other things down. So stay tuned. That meeting is going to happen, and it will prompt others. And it's really about the safety and also the preservation of things that we need to be able to see for the properties in which we use.
Okay, thank you. Any questions on that? All right. PEA negotiations.
I think you heard from a lot of these people tonight about where we are with PEA negotiations. Thank you very much.
Thank you. See you guys later.
We have some language things. We also have language things that we need to decide on. And the big topic is obviously salary and insurance, where we need to land. We have another bargaining session next week. We are meeting as a bargaining team for the district on the 20th, Tuesday. And we'll have conversations at that point. And it has been a roller coaster ride of being able to make a determination of how much money we will get. And if there is no legislative decision, what that means in terms of an even lower budget and some potential cash flow concerns. So it's nice to hear that people came back today and started doing some voting so that hopefully we'll get some decisions made. The other piece of that we anticipate ahead of or along with the state school fund decisions has to do with what's up with the early literacy funding that is proposed to go out to school districts. As some of you know, in our conversations, we are wrestling with Next Steps Preschool. It breaks my heart to think about having to cut a preschool because it is a foundation to prepare kids for kindergarten, for first grade, for life, for all kinds of things. The struggle we have is we don't get funding for kindergarten kids. And
preschool.
For preschool kids. Yeah, kinder kids we do, sorry, preschool. We don't get the funding for preschool students. And so it's very hard to talk about the potential for a reduction in force when we're putting potentially the equivalent of a teacher into maintaining a preschool. Abby, you can correct me if I'm wrong, because you've been the one most invested in the conversations. At this point, Strengthening Rural Families has said to us, we will move forward through the fall. We will have a program this fall. It gives us an opportunity to see how that plays out and how that fits. It gives us a chance to take a look at the early literacy money and how that might help us support in that way, and the possibility of prospects of some additional funding. So it's not lost on us how important that is and what a critical component is for students. And so we continue to work on that to be able to make that as important as we can.
So has it been grant funded to this point, or just a separate account out of the state, or
We
how?
get some money from Kindergarten Readiness Partnership and Innovation. Oh my God, and but the amount of money we get for that doesn't come close to paying for the program. And so as a district, we end up putting in $60,000 to $100,000 a year in addition to that money. And right now, the preschool is free to every student who participates. And so, and we know that there's people are screaming for preschool spots. And we thought we might be able to get some additional money from the Early Learning Hub for a different program, but they're not approving new schools to be able to take on that funding. And so there's just a lot of things running in tandem. When Abby and company started with a 5-year plan, that 5-year plan 2 years ago said there will be federally funded or state funded kindergarten for all kids. I mean, that was the anticipation when that was started that many years ago. And for the last 2 years, we've been saying, well, we're waiting, and nothing happens. So, school. Yeah, sorry. I'm glad you know what I'm talking about. So, yeah, so we're going to keep working on that, but we know that that's one of those places too that we have to be thoughtful about as we're talking about our negotiations.
So,
Yeah.
Yeah, where would I find in our budget the money that has been, or there must be a line item that shows what we have spent over just, yeah.
The preschool initiative grant is in Fund 254. But we only get a certain amount of revenue. So what you'll see in there is what matches the revenue we've gotten from the grant. So otherwise it gets pushed back into the general fund. And off the top of my head, I can't tell you what account code that would be, but it would show in the general funds as a elementary expense for a service. Elementary expense. And we've been fortunate over the last few years to almost get enough for KPI, the grant, but it's a 2-year allocation. And what we got for this last 2-year period covered last year.
So we didn't actually use any of the general fund last year.
Okay. All right, now we'll move on to discussion action item.
Number 3, F3.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, why cross it off? Superintendent's evaluation.
It's all right, I'm crossing it off.
We just met an executive session tonight to discuss her evaluation. I did not get a statement prepared between then and here, so we will have that at our July meeting, statement on her evaluation. Moving on now, I can go to G. Discussion action items, resolution number 2223-03. And I can read that. Resolution adopting a supplemental budget for unanticipated funding for fiscal year 22-23. Whereas ORS 294.7471 provides for making a supplemental budget for an occurrence or condition which has not been ascertained at the time of the preparation of a budget for the current fiscal year, which requires a change in fiscal financial planning. And whereas after adoption of the budget, Paloma School District 17J needs to recognize an increase in instruction and support services in the general fund less than 10%. Be it resolved by the Board of Directors of the Paloma School District 17J. The budget for fiscal year 22-23 is hereby amended, and the amounts appropriated by the Board of Directors under Resolution 2223-03 for the general fund are hereby amended as follows. And scroll down. Appropriation category 1000 instruction. Original budget was $13,638,286. An increase of $200,000, bringing it to $13,838,286. 2,000 support services, $7,496,752. Increased by $100,000, which means it's $7,596,752. So anybody want to,
We just move that the resolution be accepted? Yep. I move that the resolution be accepted, resolution 2223-03.
I second that.
okay, it's been moved and seconded. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor? Motion passes 5-0. Thank you. Now we go to the school safety and traffic circulation study update.
As you recall, at the last meeting, we approved the land to be able to use for punching through 16th Street. I continue to meet with the city and have conversations about what that means in terms of property lines and some considerations of, little tiny triangles of property that right now we're in conversation about consideration of moving property line. Just to be able to balance those out because it's like a postage stamp piece of property. I've talked with Jake Craig, who is the PE teacher at the elementary school, because the work interrupts the integrity of their walking path right now. And so he has provided me input about that it is not a full 400 meter measured path. We don't want to narrow it down, we want it to be close. And he had some thoughts about some of the grass area around it. So he's had the input to be able to say, as the repairs are done, what some of that needs to look like. The other conversation that I've had with the city starts to take a look at where crosswalks will be, where we want them and where we don't. And the other, if we put a crosswalk, say for instance, midsection behind the elementary school, in the middle of that road, are we causing more harm by putting a crosswalk there than not, and pushing students to be able to go to more defined spots at the edges? We've also talked about the beginning drawings of the look and feel of distance of lanes and distance of parking, pickup, some of those kinds of things to be able to take a look at. And so we'll start including the bus company as we continue those conversations, just to be able to make sure, and the elementary school staff, just to make sure that there is common understanding about how pickup and drop off might look same different with the changes in the roadway. So, we keep going with the conversations, and I'll just continue to keep you updated.
Thank you. Declaration of reduction of force. Do we need to do that since we are going to revisit the budget?
It's up to you to, that was a question I was going to ask.
Well, my perspective on it is if we go back and revisit the budget and redo the budget, and we don't need to do such a slash on the reduction of force, then we've kind of created a problem there. So can we wait till the 23rd or whatever, that Friday? And
I think so. There are two,
after our budget discussion.
There are two pieces to that. One of them would be we have to make sure that we notify individuals, and their last day is tomorrow for some classified folks, and it's next Tuesday for our licensed folks. Doesn't mean we can't notify it over the summer, but there are certain specifics to notification. So, and I'm okay with that, to hand deliver messages to people so we know they're getting them.
Yeah.
And so that is a possibility. The other piece would be to approve the reductions and add back following that meeting. But I'm at the will of whatever the board feels like is most appropriate to do.
Well, the thing I don't want to do with that is if you tell somebody that their job is slashed for next year, and then a week later,
We were just kidding, yeah.
Yeah, it's like, oh, no, well, we were wrong with that, so, you come on back next year. Well,
right.
I think that's worse than if we wait and then have to contact somebody, after they've technically finished the year.
I have already, on recommendation of council, put out preliminary notices to people who could be affected. and it just said the board may act on a reduction in force this evening. It didn't say they will, but it said they may. And it said to people, your position may be impacted. And it went to a specific point of you still have a job in the district because you have more seniority and you can move, or somebody else could move into your position. So I really tried to reach out to a broader audience to make sure that anybody that could be impacted had some advanced information. And so I will, if it's the determination of the board, then I will go back to those individuals and say, no decision was reached, and this is where we are. The recommendation was just to put some advanced notice out there so that somebody just didn't get here you go. So I'm happy to work it that way. One of the things that I will tell you that has been, if you can call it a benefit in holding off on the decisions, has been that a number of the proposed reductions, if we get there, are coming from retirements, resignations, and unfilled positions that we've taken out of the budget. And so what we've really worked hard to do is to find ways to be able to make this happen without the need to, it's impacting less people who are currently on the staff. And that's been a real conscious decision, instead of being able to say, you're the last two hired, you're going to be the first two to go, figure it out. So for that, I am very appreciative of the work that's gone into it. So I am happy to go with whatever you decide, and I'll let people know accordingly.
Okay, I'll just throw this out there. Rather than sending them a notice that, your position's been cut, if you could send a notice that the board decided not to.
There was no declaration.
No declaration, but look for the declaration on Friday the 23rd. So make sure that they give you contact information, that's good contact information, to get a hold of them over the summer.
Yes, that's my only concern, is we have to hand deliver it. It's summer. Like if someone's like.
We can do some certified mail, and I have to read back into, but you have to have multiple ways. That's especially true in the classified contract, is that you have to let people know in multiple ways, and not just an email, to be able to make sure that it's actually received. And so it could be that a phone call, well, one of the things in there says delivery and a phone call. It could be that the phone call could happen first, and the letter is a follow-up, but both have to be done in the classified version of the contract. So
I guess I just want to make sure we wouldn't have someone who's like visiting family in Mexico and we're sending you on some wild goose chase to go hand them a letter.
Yeah, we're not sending.
It might be fun to go to Mexico.
But no, I think a lot of that will be taken care of if the notification is given tomorrow to the people who possibly going to get that notice anyhow.
Well, and I'll do that tonight before I leave.
That way then they know that if no decision was reached tonight, and an expected decision on Friday. Okay. So that'll take care of that. Okay, meeting closure.
Do you need to vote on that?
Oh, I don't.
I think we just say we're not going to. Okay, that works.
Unless somebody wants to vote on it.
No, I'm good if you.
I'm good.
Tell me what to do.
Just, giving directive to the superintendent.
That's perfect.
Next meeting agenda items.
I was looking over the minutes from the last meeting since I wasn't here, and I did see that it said for this meeting to schedule a Kings Valley Charter School meeting, but then it also said to do that in July, so I just wanted to make sure it gets on the agenda for July.
Well, I reached out to them, and I have heard nothing back. I went out to their graduation Saturday, talked to the board chair, said, hey, did you get my email? She said, well, I don't know, my email's kind of screwy. So it's like, well, I sent you an email asking, for dates that the two boards could get together, and seeing the short time we have before the new members come on, probably do it after the 1st of July, when we have the two new board members on, and then, our board will be there for 2 years, hopefully, and without any changes, so that was my reaching out to them, and I still haven't heard anything back from them, so.
Okay.
Maybe they use two-factor authenticators to get their email.
And then they,
Hmm?
and then they let their phones.
Maybe they use two-factor authenticator to get their emails.
Oh,
and now they can't do it. They have all those key fobs that they can figure out how to work, yeah.
Yeah,
So
so,
easy.
but that has
Every day.
been addressed, so.
I know I won't, can I request something?
Yeah.
Just.
Doesn't mean it'll happen.
I know. But I think we, at our retreat, went over which I want to be clear to everyone here, our retreat was sitting in the library watching, eating pizza. We weren't.
Yes, it was.
um,
We did go to a stop.
Yeah, but,
High class.
we like went over the sort of like board calendar and it had like sort of our goals for different things. And I just would like maybe the board to refresh and review that. Because I think there were, like, I think specifically given some of the comments tonight, there are a few things of like, have like a town hall in each school with the board liaison. We have not done that. And so I would hope that, that's the one. And so I think just like making sure that with, new members and kind of moving on and maybe revising that if there is more outreach or engagement that can happen, I think that would be a good thing for the board to talk about. But
Yeah.
I'll turn into a pumpkin on July 1st, so you
I
know which one.
think we, last year, did a work session in August, I want to say, and that was when we initially did that, and then when you
Sure.
joined,
But since the board retreat
did it
is an
again.
August item, so.
Okay.
yeah,
Yeah.
so I think that's
Okay.
probably when we'll
Just as long as it happens.
Yeah.
close them out.
I'll come
look
give
at
some
it
angry
again.
public comment about how it didn't happen.
Release it in there, please.
We'll expect it.
Okay.
Okay, any more agenda item comments? Okay, 4 things.
Well, I always have lots of things to say and lots of things to give. But I specifically during the month of June would like to thank all of the educators of whatever your role is. If you work with our students, you're an educator in my mind, for the inclusive support during Pride Month and throughout the rest of the year. So thank you so much for everything you do to provide a community that feels safe and inclusive and welcoming to our students. And maybe for those students who haven't quite felt comfortable being more inclusive, the gentle and kind reminders that we do have a philosophy, and I've said kind so many times, but we have a philosophy of kindness in this district, and I really appreciate when those supporting messages go out. So thank you from the bottom of my heart. And all the sides and everything in between.
Okay.
I just want to say thank you because this is really, I guess we have another meeting now. But it's been a great 4 years and I've enjoyed working with all of you and I'm gonna miss certain aspects.
No, thank you for your service.
Yeah, okay. Just again, thanks to all the staff in the district. Obviously, we're a people business, and without the staff, we don't run. So, I also want to thank our 2 departing board members, Aaron and Chris, and it's been wonderful working with you guys. We're going to miss you. Hopefully, you'll occasionally check in with us.
Well, yes, I guess thank you to all of you all for, I was not elected, I was appointed, so thanks for appointing me. And thanks for working with me this last 11 months. And I feel like I've already said a lot of different things at various points in this meeting, but just a huge thanks to everyone, I think, starting with the students and then, of course, staff and administrators. I think one thing I took away from all the public comment is everyone said that they really do love this district. It's a very special place. Of course, there are always improvements we can make. But I think, okay, I gotta stop crying more. Well, luckily, I won't be coming to them anymore. I don't know, just I think being able to be at graduation on Saturday was kind of crazy for me. Because just 6 years ago, I was getting a diploma there. And I don't think I'll ever fully put into words how much I love this place. But getting to be on this side of the table has been a huge honor. And also sometimes a burden, but I don't think, I know this is like an overused line, but this is definitely the biggest honor of my life. So, thank you.
I would like to start by doing my normal thing of thanking everybody in the district. You know, no matter what your position, it takes everybody to make the district go, and I believe that wholeheartedly. Also want to thank everyone that was here tonight for being and spoke that was very respectful. And I seriously mean that, very respectful. There was nothing anywhere close to being non-respectful or disrespectful, however you want to say it. Also want to thank everybody that was involved with the graduation ceremony. That's probably the best part of our responsibilities on the board, at least it is for me, when you see those students walk across there and collect their diploma. It's just wonderful knowing that, you know, everybody in this district has done a wonderful job to make sure that they graduate and can move on to something new in their future. So that's a great thing that makes this job worth doing most of the time. You know, the other stuff we have to do isn't so much fun, but that's a great thing that we actually get to do and enjoy. So,
including at the academy last night. Yes,
and the academy last night, right out here on the grass just west of here. So with both of those, it's the same. So moving on from that, I'm not done yet. I have cards from Christopher. Thank you. Thank you. One for Karen. Thank you. Thank you. It's almost like handing out a diploma.
It is. Pose the picture.
Did we set it to light date for a meeting? Not yet, we haven't, but that's, okay. We can do that. They each get a certificate of appreciation. I'll read it. Certificate of appreciation. This certificate is proudly awarded to Karen Skinkus, Christopher McMorrin. Thank you for your dedication to serving Philoma School District students. Board position number 5, 7 of 2019 through 6 of 2023, and it will be signed by Susan Halliday, Superintendent, and Rick Wells, Chairman. So thank you very much.
And at the suggestion, recommendation, thought, we will be contributing on behalf of you to some funding to our student budget accounts. Thank you, to be able to make sure that.
Okay, I guess the board request would be to look at dates that we can have for our July meeting.
My calendar's free.
You what?
I said my calendar's free. When do you want me?
How about the 4th? Yeah. Sandy, since you're here,
Yes.
we'll take your input with this.
Okay.
We'd like to get it done somewhere probably that first week. I realize the 4th is on Tuesday.
We usually like to do our July meeting early, so we free up the majority of the summer.
Yeah, and it's usually just a very short meeting, you know. Yeah, it'll be very short.
6th or 7th, Thursday or Friday.
I have to tell you, that's frolic weekend. I won't be available.
There you go.
Well,
Can you do the 3rd?
3rd or the 5th?
I can do the 3rd or the 5th.
Aaron, the 3rd? Joe?
I'm okay with the 3rd.
Okay, well, we'll just tell Ryan he's got to be here on the 3rd since he wasn't here tonight.
That's right.
At 7. PM, our normal time, or?
6 o'clock, okay?
Sure.
Do you anticipate?
Aaron, is that-
That makes me happy, yes.
Okay, do you anticipate needing an executive session in July? July meeting?
A lot of it depends,
Okay.
but I think that unless there's something that really surfaces that we didn't anticipate, I would say that anything that we've got, we can, I don't think we're gonna need it.
Or we could do a quick executive session after the main meeting?
Yeah, if we needed to, but yeah, I know we like to keep it brief. That will be good because then we have permissions to pay the bills and all kinds of things they can grant us to do in July.
So what time do we want then?
6 o'clock.
6 o'clock.
Okay.
And we think we need executive session.
Well, I just heard you say.
If it doesn't
we could do it after.
concern you, it's here.
Okay.
I'm gonna try not unless there's something that just really rears its head that we need to.
I guess
Wait,
just,
were you asking if we were going to possibly get into an executive session before the end of June?
well, I just depending on. what
Yeah.
we do.
Yeah,
Well,
and if we need that, then
Okay.
we'll.
Yeah, if we could probably add it to the 23rd, or that Friday, if that's.
Yeah, I guess we'll figure it out.
Right.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay.
Okay.
We'll just have some things.
Okay. On the 3rd at 6 o'clock.
Yep, got it.
All right, thank you. All right, anything else?
I, just in light of many of the comments that happened this evening, would like to request that we begin planning and not pick a date yet, but begin planning a series of listening sessions where there might be a board member, maybe two, some other people, to create an environment of safety for our staff members. I know many of us, as our liaison position, do go to the schools to speak to people. I attend, although I haven't been able to very many times in spring, site council meetings at the middle school, but I don't know that that's always the appropriate forum for teachers or staff members, whoever it might be, to bring concerns, and email isn't always the easiest way to do it either. So just a point of discussion for the new board members as well. We can talk about it in our work session in August. I think that might be appropriate.
They may be more inclined to come if it's more of a relaxed atmosphere as opposed to a structured meeting, so.
I mean, I think I give off pretty relaxed vibes most of the time.
No,
but yeah.
I hope you understand what I'm saying, is they don't want to come to a forum like this and have to.
Yeah, maybe like a coffee shop location or something.
Something,
Yes.
something that's,
There's a dance party at Clemens every Friday, I don't know if you guys know that.
Come on,
Why
that
not?
like Kitty Week
Tomorrow.
It's one tomorrow.
It's the last one.
Wait.
9:30 to 10 o'clock.
Yeah.
What time?
9:30 to 10.
It's going on the phone.
I'm assuming.
All right, well, just.
AM, yes. Way past their bedtime.
I highly encourage it to happen at the school, right? I think teachers will show up. If you take it off-site, you're going to get less participation. It's a little bit, in my opinion, more intimidating.
Yeah, I wasn't suggesting taking it off-site. I was just suggesting a more relaxed atmosphere rather than a meeting structured like this or
You walk
something.
in the door, they will talk to you.
Yeah.
I can confirm that.
Yeah, well, so can I. But I just wanted to make sure that everybody realized it would be not a very structured meeting like this, but just more relaxed and have a conversation.
And that's
Yeah.
Can I share something that
Sure.
just, again, shows the community support that we've got?
Okay.
I think I did share with all our staff today that we're gonna get next Tuesday, mud oven pizza that's gonna come and be able to sling slices for that day. And I just heard back from them this afternoon. She said, so you know how I am. I got excited and shared our idea with a few friends. Hyatt Farm is providing a sweet treat, and the Chamber and Pheasant Court Winery each wrote a check. So our menu now looks like a pizza slice, green salad with dressing choices, and a sweet treat. and they may work on coffee in the morning. So you're talking about something that starts as a simple idea from somebody in our community that wants to be supportive, and it just echoes in terms of the importance that they believe our educators play in our community. So it's awesome.
And Susan, I did write down what date that is.
It's June 20th.
20th?
It's Tuesday.
So, hearing, you got something? You were just like, anything from this side? All right. Meeting adjourned. Thank you everybody for coming. Appreciate it.
I'm not gonna act like I'm gonna see you again because if you impressed me long enough, but I am sad that I don't really dedicate to
If my boss will let me, I'll be there.
I know, they're all
Yeah.